Or we are all old pros? Yeah, first time? Awesome. Great, thanks, wonderful. As you may know, Malvern is basically the best independent bookstore in town. Don't get me wrong, I love Bookwoman, and Book People has their own thing too, but you will not find a lot of the books. This is a whole wall of poetry. That's one thing you won't find in a lot of other stores. Not to mention that, but there's a lot of books over here you will not find in other bookstores in town, and that's amazing and great, and means we have that much more access to great literature, which of course we should all be reading so that we can all write more of it and hear more of it, and so on and so forth.
So this is Raw Paw's fourth Mind Maze reading. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Raw Paw, but if you're not, they are a publisher, a record label, and an art collective that was born right here in Austin in 2010. And they're currently accepting submissions, for the Alien Zine. So if you want more information about that, you can check it out at rawpawatx.com. And like Wade was saying, this is one of the most wonderfully curated bookstores in town. And the best way to make sure we keep having events like this and keep the store alive is to buy books. And Christmas is just around the corner, so buy books. If you've been here before, David Jewell has been hosting, and we've graciously accepted and inherited this reading. This is Wade Martin, and I'm A.R. Rogers. Just so you know, you're in good hands. Wade is the new co-editor of the Texas Poetry Calendar and archives the Albert Hofstifler collection at ACC. And
AR is going to be a feature at AIPF coming up this year. Austin International Poetry Festival. That's what that stands for. And she will be finishing her associate's degree at ACC coming up this spring. So.
So moving forward, we will be your host once a month. Typically, or so far, Chapbook has come out with the reading, and tonight we are celebrating Jonathan Lowell's Chapbook, and we have two other readers for you. We're really excited, and we think we've prepared a good reading for you, so I'll let Wade introduce the first reader.
So, I almost moved to Seattle like four or 5 months ago, and the last week before moving, I decided nope, sorry, that's not the right move for me, I'm staying in Austin. So I told everybody I'm leaving, sorry, see ya. So I was at a reading, my farewell reading in town here, and I told everybody that I belonged to 5 poetry critique groups, which is absolutely true, and not information that I would have shared under any other circumstance, because now people are asking me oh, what's that, what's the 4th one, or whatever. One of them is one of David Jewell's, just because a nice fun gathering at his house where we sit and meditate sometimes and look at tarot cards and do crazy things. And that's where I met Jonathan. But another critique group that meets over at Cherrywood is where I met our first reader for the evening, Jesse Bertron. He is prominently in the community here the co-director of the Poetry at Round Top. If you don't know what Poetry at Round Top is, I'm sure he'll tell you more about it. But it's basically just a great gathering of poets, happens out in the hill country, and some of the best poets in the country are going to be there this year, as they have been in years before, so you should all definitely check that out. His poetry has recently been published in Pocket Guide, and he's working on a manuscript of poems called Big John Abroad, which are great, and you'll hear more of that tonight. And during the day, he teaches middle school English and basic carpentry, and also works on and off stage in a bunch of Austin playwright companies. So, that being said, I've known Jesse for a long time, and he's a great reader, and you're about to be wowed. It's good man.
Thank you very much, Wade.
Yeah.
I am in Wade Martin's 4th critique group. I'm also a teacher. I teach middle school. This is my teaching notebook, and I was just flipping through it I've got my poems here, and I found a note just to give you a view into teaching. I don't know, probably a lot of you have taught before. It seems like it draws a bunch of poets and poetry fans. But I've got a note that says, you've got a situation like you had with Sebastian, who's in the treehouse. How do you make it turn out differently? And that's a typical day. This is the first poem that I've got is about a field trip that my school took to Houston. It was like an art field trip. And the poem is called Outside the Rothko Chapel, where Big John's eyes appeared upon the canvas on the eastern wall. There are 50 crows screaming around the reflecting pool, where I have asked these kids to write about the half hour they just spent in silence. The kids were bored in there, and I will later learn that most of them are writing, I was bored. They did not learn the difference between a museum and a church. With one, you go to watch. The other one, you go because you think you're being watched. I'm watching these kids burn in ways I know they'll never burn again. My watching is nothing to them. They long for someone's watching who they cannot even name. They long to one day learn they have been living on the inside of a frame. They long for what is watching them to give some kind of sign. I spent that whole half hour being half of something I can never hold again. I know now what they know. To know you're being watched will never be enough. I know how it tastes to taste delicious from attention paid. I know how, once you're gorgeous, how you long to be consumed. It's called I Salvation Part T. Big John says there was a ship wrecked in a great dark gulf and we were passengers. And Big John says you have to burn your raft if you want to make a signal that will reach the rescuers. And Big John says, I tell you, you would drink milk from the witch's tit, black and bracing, if only you believed. He says you'd take a fig and suck the summer out of it, if only you believed. He says you'd climb inside the ringing bell and let it make your chest a stirrup up to heaven. He says you'd claw its speech because it muzzled singing. He says, I tell you, you would enter in the marketplace where every bin was pleasure, and you'd dip your arms into the speckled grain up to the elbow, and you'd look the guy who sells them in the eye, if only you believed. The thing that you think keeps you dry is all the tinder that you have to call the distant traffic of the sky. I live just off of a street called Ledesma over on the east side. It's just east of Springdale. And it's an area, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that part of town, but like all of East Austin, it's gentrifying really fast, which is very sad for me, but I'm not really allowed to complain about it because I bought a house in East Austin 3 years ago, and like the only reason why it bothers me, the only reason why I can witness it is that I'm part of it. It's a strange thing. It's a strange feeling to really love something, and because you love it, you're destroying it. So it's nice. This is a poem about my neighborhood. It's called Black Cowboys, Oak Springs Neighborhood, East Austin. Driving down Ledesma tonight, one of those black cowboys rode towards me. I think they pasture up the hill on Lot, or Santa Ana maybe, although I've seen horse trailers even on Omega. The black neighborhoods are going even Hungry Hill as if by overhunt. But still you see trail riders galloping past the tennis courts on Springdale or beneath the gold and green of Proc's trash trees. I've been accused of making these guys up. and to see them is an argument for that. They ride as hard as going from extinction to extinct. The only time I saw one stop, I was subbing for a friend who taught on the east side. I was in a field with 30 kids. Every single one has moved by now to Manor, 15 miles out of town. One of those cowboys rode up on a tuckered horse and started asking a young boy if his mother had moved yet or not. And here's where my memory gets weird, because either the cowboy rode off and me and the kids stood in the silence that comes after some great animal has come near, or else he picked the young boy up and rode him around the field at a hard gallop, and me and the other kids stood in the silence that comes after some great animal has come near and has taken one. So I showed that poem to a buddy of mine, an earlier draft of that poem to a buddy of mine, and I didn't know anything about these guys, about these black cowboys who I'd see around my neighborhood. And she was like, you know, you're a real idiot for like writing this poem. It's really irresponsible to like write this poem and not say anything about these guys, like to not know anything about the thing you're writing about. Which is, you know, like a fair argument. And so me and some other friends were out in the country, God knows why, in the middle of the night, like a couple of months later, way out 71. And we see these lights, and so we start driving up to these lights, and we hear music, and we pull up to this place, and it's this gathering of black cowboys from East Austin. And they're called trail riders. And like when we went in, and like, you know, they gave us all this liquor, and they were super nice, and they let us dance, and they were just, anyways, like it was a really strange experience to have written that poem, and then have somebody be like, you should learn about these guys, and we'd be like, I don't know how to learn about these guys. And so I dropped out in the middle of nowhere and learn about these guys. So this is called IUD. Big John's big sister calls Big John to tell Big John she got an IUD. She says that she don't have no one in mind. You should try it too, Big John. It's just the armor she puts on that says, okay, I'm really going to fight this time. I'm really going to brace for being seen. Stay handsome. Keep your bed sheets clean. Perform the day's indignities that keep you looking sharp. Soon it will be dark. You don't have to kiss, get married, or get laid. You just got to get out of the house. You just got to do enough to say, tonight I better not let all of this good armor go to waste. It's called Rag. Like the thing that you wash with, nothing. Okay. Rag. You ought to let that pretty hospice nurse drag it down your chest until you drop your big head back, loosening your dry lips at the feel. She's going to dress you soon. Let her start to wash you now. When you were young, you rode the barebacked world. You could throw up 4 walls in a day, having shown up drunk, not having slept. But drunk or sober, you still had to strain for words like a horse over a fence that he has chosen not to jump. It must have been a good thing to have words mean so much you could not even gesture. It must have meant that even if you said one thing, that it was precious. It's called Words. Big John, I think you are in pretty bad shape. You have tried losing weight. It did not work. You tried to lose your language too. You were really counting on loss seeing you through. You made a great mistake the day you learned to speak. Other people can stand back, but you always end up shoving your own head through what you only wanted to describe. You are like one of those dumb cartoon guys who gets his head shoved through a painting he was trying to look at, and the guy is like, boing, and looking kind of gaga, kind of wearing the frame. You know what you are, Big John? You will like this one. Big John, you are like rabbis on Stampede. You're headed for the cliffs. You are building up your speed. All I have to do is lay a scrap of Torah down, and you will stop to read. This is called When Something Feels So Good, You Say, Don't Stop. Even the flattened glove on the road waves, hello there. I even love pumping gas. I get to touch the woman that I love, the bright bloodshot cacophony of sun showing red through her ear above the bed. Describe your perfect day, the question said. My body in October is a truck in too low gear, as if this joy is torque and I can hear my body impatient to take off. Let October drop its dress to the floor. Let October wash your feet with its hair. Run harder, stay here longer. Drink deeper, have more liquor in the glass. Somebody told me to slow down, as if this month would stay, as if what I was running with was something that would wait. And then just two more. Yeah, they're both Big John poems. The first one's called There Was No Assignment, But There Will Be a Test. And the second one is called Dogs. And I probably won't stop in between them, but you'll know they're different poems. So you'll just, yeah, you'll know.
But after, tell us more about Round Top.
Oh yeah, well I'll tell you before.
Okay.
And okay, so Round Top is awesome. Have any of you guys been out to Round Top?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's April 17th through 19th, this next spring. Sharon Olds is going to be there this year. Patricia Smith. Let's see. Oh, this is embarrassing. Carrie Fountain, Malachi Black, Michael McGriff. And I don't know if any of you guys were here for the Malachi Black, Michael McGriff reading a couple of weeks ago, but those guys are off the hook incredible. Ellen Bass is going to be there, who's awesome. Don't you guys know Ellen Bass's work? She's really good. She's in the Sun a lot, but her stuff is so good, and I hear she gives a great workshop. There are a lot of workshops. It's like 3 days of reading. The registration isn't super expensive, especially if you say you're a student. We don't. Anyways, I didn't say that. We also, if you don't think you can go, like go to the website for sure. It's poetryroundtop.org. Like it would be stupid if you didn't go to the website. But go to the website, and if it looks too expensive to go, then just apply for financial aid. And we really try to make sure that nobody doesn't go because they can't pay for it. Like we really work at that. So you don't get any excuse. Not anyone can hear these killer
and it's
poets.
Such an incredibly beautiful place.
Yeah, it's baller. It's just like it's like somebody dropped this weird European town down in a field and populated it with weird people who are great. Like it's so beautiful and wild.
Also, there's the unofficial dance party Saturday night. So.
Oh yeah, great dance party Saturday night. Yeah, really worth coming to.
Like we danced with.
Kazim
Joy Harjo.
Ali and Joy Harjo.
Yeah, they're both great
Linda Gregg officiated a dance-off between Kazim Ali and a participant.
Yeah.
That could be you. And the participant won.